Adventure in Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman, W4CY Radio, and I'm here with our next guest who has some badass music that kind of combines two of my personalities. And you're going to find out about why. So let's welcome David from the Judge The Juror.
Hello, folks. Thank you for having me.
Where'd the executioner go?
We decided early on to drop him. So it's just the Judge The Juror now.
I love it though. So the reason I said that is because when I saw what they call your genre, okay, and I hate genres because it just lumps artists into something, and it's like I almost do this thing when I go on tour and do interviews at festivals. Like I have bands tell me, what would your genre be? Because it's pretty ridiculous nowadays. Like the genres are so microscopic that one band could fit into it. So it becomes like a funny. But yours I read as psychedelic progressive tech death.
Nailed it.
And I'm somebody that is both a metalhead, a punk, and hippie. Like I dig psychedelic music. I dig metal. I dig punk. I dig all kinds of metal. I dig good musicianship. So your genre there just fits everything that I am.
I'm glad to hear that.
It's kind of like if Possessed and the Grateful Dead had a baby.
Oh, now that's a pretty high bar to set. So thank you.
Right? Because I am somebody like back in the 80s.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on like Friday night to go see a Slayer show, and on Saturday go to a Dead show.
Hell yeah. Love that.
And it's like, fuck the gatekeeper shit too. Music is music. If you like music, you like music. I'm more of a metalhead than most anybody there is. It doesn't mean I don't like other music.
I could not agree more. We're very much like that. Like while we play in, kind of the tech death space with that, we're very influenced by a lot of other music that isn't metal, myself, especially with like the kind of electronic psychedelic side. Like our lead guitarist, his favorite band in the world is Dance Gavin Dance.
Nice.
So we're kind of like, like an emo alternative, sort of very outside of what we do, but that influence has definitely come into the music as well. And I agree. I think like we're blessed in the metal genre also that you can make so many things metal, Yeah. It just works so well. So it's just like, what can we just kind of throw together? And I loved how you said about the genretization of metal, because you hit it exactly on the head. So psy-death tech prog is a term that we made up.
Nice. I love it.
1,000%. And you hit it on the head exactly, because originally the idea was like all this genretization, there's so much of it, right? You go to a metalhead and you're like, oh, you like that band? I also like death metal. And they're like, they're black and grind.
I know, man. I know.
And so we thought we should have a genre that's super hyper specific to tell people about, but then it's also kind of like a tongue in cheek jab at that exact thing, So totally. I'm glad that you picked that up.
I love it. Well, and what you just said reminds me, because, I come from the days of the 80s of the gatekeeper bullshit. And I remember I was at a show. It was Venom, Slayer, and Exodus.
Oh, sick.
And Kronos got into a fist fight with Tom because he's like, you guys aren't black metal. We're black metal.
No.
And it's like, come on, dude. Like, and in 2025, Venom wouldn't even be considered black metal. It's funny. I thought it was so like evil and dark and heavy and fast back then. And now I listen to it, I'm like, man, it sounds kind of poppy to me.
It's amazing how things evolve, right?
Right? Totally. You know, and then like I mentioned Possessed before, arguably the first death metal band ever. And I can say that they still stand up to most death metal today.
Oh, I would agree too. I'm a big fan of a lot of the old school stuff too, and they're up there for me as well.
Totally. And, you know, let's talk about the progressive part. To me, Rush has some metal songs, a lot of metal songs before they put the synth in it.
Totally. Totally agree. Yeah.
Like
1,000%.
I love Rush. Like to me, 2112 is one of the most metal fucking songs ever to me. Like I remember blasting it through my guitar amplifier and freaking headbanging to Temples of Syrinx and shit.
Hell yeah. I also love Rush though. And I agree, it does have a more metal tinge to it than I think people realize.
Because most people don't know nowadays, don't know the old Rush. Like they know post-moving pictures. And I'm not a big post-moving pictures person. Like
yes, there was quite a pivot there.
Away from them, you know, they're great artists, but like I like before that. Like I love the first album. I love Caress of Steel. I love Permanent Waves, Hemispheres, you know. You know, of course I love moving pictures. Everybody that you know is the popular Rush fan knows moving pictures, but I love all the shit before moving pictures, man.
Hell yeah.
And you're Canadian, so like you would get kicked out of Canada if you didn't like Rush.
Well, exactly. We can't claim to be any sort of prog band and say we don't like Rush, so you will never catch me doing that. Don't worry.
There you go. There you go. So tell me about, I love the story of what you're doing, because I think you can even add to that genre that you made up and call yourselves like power psychedelic progressive tech death, because you got that whole concept thing going on, and that's quote unquote the power metal thing. But I think concepts are great because listen, a song, an album, to me is no different than a book and a chapter.
Couldn't agree more with that either. Yeah. You're telling people something, whether you're thinking about it conceptually or just as a one-off piece, right? You're conveying something to people through what you're doing musically. So absolutely.
So I love how you have this whole thing of you already have everything set up. It's almost like the chapters are set up between these EPs that you're putting out. And so tell us a little bit about the story of how they're all connected and why this one goes now, this one goes then, and so forth.
For sure. So, so the 3 EPs are based around actually a quote. The gentleman's name is, I believe it's Edward O. Morrow. I hope I didn't get that wrong. Edward O. I think Morrow. I'll have to confirm that. I should know it off the top of my head. I know the Edward O. Anyway, he was quoted as saying, it was in a discussion where they were kind of philosophizing about, you know, the modern state of us as humans and why we're kind of feeling like things around us sort of are coming to this weird crux that's a little bit scary. And he chalked it up to, there's a reason that humanity is sort of heading down this path. And he labeled it as 3 different pieces of the human puzzle that we deal with right now that really don't kind of jive together when you think about it. And so what those are, and the names of the EPs, are going to be primitive minds. We have basically the same brain we've had since we've, you know, stepped out of caves. We have these medieval institutions, the second EP name. So all these institutions around us that still operate in these old ways that don't really serve us too well. And then the third one, the third EP, will be called Godlike Technology. Now we have these phones and everything in our pocket, and we have this level of technology that's unlike anything we've ever seen as a race. And these three things kind of coming together, his theory is that this is causing a lot of human suffering right now.
I agree.
In our world. And I very much agree. I very relate to that. So that's kind of what we're trying to do with these EPs. Is so Primitive Minds is going to be this first one. That's what Heliconian OPTIVISOR is going to be from. So it's going to be sort of a dive into some of our human primitive emotions and things like that kind of can betray us in our modern world. Next, we're thinking early, 2026, we'll be looking at medieval institutions, and same kind of thing. We'll dive further into some of these ideas about what we think these institutions are, how we feel like they're negatively impacting it. And then eventually we'll do the Godlike Technologies section as well. And we're kind of planning to encapsulate that whole idea, hopefully, between all three of these songs and, all three of these EPs, and be able to kind of put them together in this sort of vision of that statement. So
that's pretty cool. It's kind of like when you have, books, and then the follow-up book, and then the follow-up book. And, when you said the technology, something really hit home for me, because I am a techie, always have been. But I also know, like, I'm a Gen Xer. I built this stupid shit we use now. Like,
right.
And just like you see in the movies, I'm kind of sorry that we did. It's like I told my daughter one day, I was on the phone with my youngest daughter, and I was like, some days I just want to drive down the road and throw my laptop, my phone, and my iPad out the window and keep driving.
Tell me about it.
Dad, who are you kidding? You're just as addicted as everybody else. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Except I lived in a time when we didn't have any of it, and it was a better time. I remember when I was learning programming languages to build all this technology, and the talk was always how it's going to make our life so much easier and blah, 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 blah bullshit. Because I'm here now in it. Life ain't easier. It's more stressful. This is why everybody has stress, anxiety, because there is no off switch.
Bingo.
None. It's like, just, like you can, I have clients that text me at 3 a.m. Like, what happened to the days when a business is closed and you couldn't get a hold of them at 3 a.m., And it's like people just assume. Another thing that really bugs me is people, especially the people that are not tech oriented, they assume that because we have this technology, you have to use it all and use it all at once. Like Zoom. I can't tell you how many times I've had appointments with somebody that would take like a 30-second phone call, and they're like, okay, well, let me send you a Zoom link. I'm like, it would take you longer to send the Zoom link than to have the phone call. Just pick up the phone and call me. Okay. And then, there's so many things like that. It's like I have clients that will text me to let me know that they just emailed me, and then they'll Facebook message me to tell me that they text me that they emailed me. And I'm just like,
oh my God.
Listen, I use all the technology. I only need one. Okay.
Yeah.
If you send me an email, I'll get a notification out of that email. I don't need a text to tell me you sent me an email. Like, what is the freaking point of that?
Yeah, I agreed.
I think that's the destruction in the world right there. We talk about apocalypse. I think that's the apocalypse. We're like I look outside the window of my studio and I see people walking around on their phones like we're in the zombie apocalypse. Like I've literally watched somebody walk right into a cement pole because they're too busy on their phone.
It's so true. We're so addicted to it, right? And I mean, this circles back with this whole idea of these three concepts together, right? This technology and stuff, with especially these social media stuff, is what a lot of people are addicted to their phones about. And these institutions we're kind of talking about, they're setting these up to hit your primitive brain. They know exactly what they're doing this. They know that stimulus is something in our brain that's still from our days of being more animalistic and not a society like we are now, and they know how to hit it. And so that's exactly it. That's why I think, again, these all tie together, right? It's this combination. Yeah, it's all these combinations of what they're doing and nefarious purposes behind it. Even the ones that don't have necessarily a nefarious intent become nefarious, is what it's seeming like, you know? So it's a bizarre time, you know? And like I'm an older millennial, right? I was born in 87. So I at least too kind of had a little bit of the the gift of a mostly technology-free childhood.
Right.
A lot of people my age, kind of, that was us. It was more when we were in, like, I remember kind of first really being on like a computer doing anything close to what we do now, MSN Messenger, like when I was in junior high, maybe mid junior high, you know. Right. So I still got to have that kind of childhood experience where we didn't have that. And I see like kids today with it, and I can't even imagine what being a kid must be like in this day and age with all of it. It's crazy, like totally just wild.
Yeah. And, you know, to your point, like my two older kids, they're born 85, 86.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I remember the day this happened, but so we had cell phones, but as a parent, you didn't let them have it all the time. They couldn't bring it to school, or they didn't have one. Like my kids were going to school, and no, you can't have a cell phone. No, like they didn't even have one. And then one day I remember so clearly drop him off at school, and it was like out of nowhere, every kid had a cell phone. And now I'm like, oh, fuck, now I got to buy my kids a cell phone because they can't be the only ones in school without a cell phone.
Right. And that's part of it too.
Right. You know,
the social pressures.
Yeah. You got the pressure. And speaking of social media, same thing. Like social media is not social. It's anti-social, attacking, bullying. Everything that was the worst things about my childhood is now expanded because of social media. Like I can't even imagine what these kids have to go through because I had bullies that waited for me when I was walking home from school. I didn't have cyber bullies. That's like a whole nother realm right there.
It's unbelievable how the depths people will go online to do that kind of stuff. It's pretty upsetting.
Yeah. So like even now the idea of a president of the United States of America using social media to take jabs at people just blows my mind. It just blows my mind. I don't care who the president is. Anybody that would do it. Just that you could actually do. I don't even think they should be able to use social media for stuff like that. In a sense that maybe that's old me. Maybe that's me being old fashioned. But like, come on, man. It's like you're bullying world leaders with your X account.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's the part that we don't need, right? It's like it'd be one thing if we as a species could be responsible with some of these things. But I don't see that unfortunately coming anytime soon. And so, you know.
Yeah. I mean, what's next? Like, listen, in the 80s, I was like, the machines are going to take over. Everything I remember from the 70s and the 80s that was sci-fi is now real life or outdated. Like the idea of a flip phone is now outdated. And I remember watching Star Trek and going, whoa, that would be cool to have one of those. Or what we're doing right now is also from Star Trek. You know, it's like it's real life. And you thought it was something that could never happen. You know, and then now you take movies like I, Robot or other movies like that, and we're living that now with the whole AI thing, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And here's one. How about this? I don't know if you ever thought of this, but I mean, have you ever seen the movie Demolition Man?
Oh, okay. You know what's funny is I literally watched it 3 days ago.
Okay. Tell me that's not COVID.
Oh, you know what? I literally kind of had that same thought of like, yeah, this kind of definitely could have been what society became, you know?
Right.
It's quite wild.
Think about it. No exchange of bodily fluids and like
Yeah.
the idea of having sex the real way, in an electronic. And I think there's a lot of times I do think that we are just being programmed for all this. Everything that happens. Like, listen, I also got to laugh at with the COVID thing, that people were spreading this thing. Oh no, I'm not going to get the shot because it's, they're going to inject a 5G chip, but they're posting this on Facebook. And I would tell these people, I'm like,
Right.
dude, you are using a 5G phone to post this. They don't need to chip you. You are chipping yourself.
Literally, right?
Right? It's like
100%.
some people don't get it. It's like, even with the AI thing, okay? So AI is really popular now, but guess who's training the AI? We are,
Bingo. Bingo.
These companies have no costs involved in the research and development because we're it for free. Happily.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%, right? It tested on the public is kind of what it feels like, right? No matter what the consequences of that are socially or otherwise. And it is a scary kind of world to live in when you just see it so blatantly. I think we all kind of know what, corporate and larger scale interests think about the average person. But I feel like with some of this tech stuff, it's even more blatant than before, Like, you are our product, we have you, and we're going to use you as said product. And it's a scary world to live in.
Well, here's the problem. There's two problems. One is, I tell this to people all the time, why do you think they give us this stuff for free? Like, you think
nothing
because
ever
they're
truly
just
free.
Right. It isn't some altruistic thing.
No.
That's number one. Number two, okay, so you take the smartest minds in the world that are creating this technology, they can do things that you can't even imagine they can do. It's like, I remember you talk about, my son in the beginning of the internet, and he was on his computer, he was doing stuff. I'm like, listen, you need to be careful because people can get into your computer and steal your shit. And he's like, and typical of your generation and further generations, stuff just works. They don't realize like that there's actual programming behind this that makes it work. It doesn't just work. So I said to him, I'm like, he said to me, come on, they get to, oh, really? And I called up a friend of mine. And I'm like, hey, do me a favor. Can you go on my son's computer right now and start deleting files? And then all of a sudden, it'd be popping up. File deleted. And my son's asking me, what's going on? Oh, that thing you told me can't be done. It's being done right now. You just let me know when you want it to stop.
That's amazing. I love
that. And that's really the only way to teach your kids, because I
mean,
they don't
you got sometimes experience, right? You gotta see that it's going to happen, because it's easy to be like, well, maybe it does, but not to me, or no. But then when it does, you're like, oh,
old, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that one too.
I love it when you're like in your 20s and your kids call you old.
No kidding, right? That's something,
right? It's what, but what's even wilder is like, okay, I have grandkids now, and like they could do stuff their parents can't do on technology, for sure.
Oh, 100%,
and
without a question.
And they have that same attitude, and I kind of laugh. Like, they love me to death because I'm like the cool grandpa that brings them to mosh pits and teaches them how to use this technology and stuff. And they're like, and their parents are like, yeah, they're too old. Like, my kids are too old for my grandkids.
That's just wild, hey?
It's just it's a trip, man.
It is.
And there's good and bad. Like, there definitely is good and bad. I don't
Totally.
think it's made my life easier. I think it's made it where I could do something like this instead of having to do an interview where you come into the studio or what have you.
Yeah.
That made it better. But the fact that, you see kids nowadays more and more having mental illness, having anxiety, having panic attacks, stress, man, they got plenty of years for that crap.
Exactly. That's totally it, right? It's like we definitely get some conveniences, some things that do make our lives easier from this stuff, but at some point where it starts to come down to me is like at some point we kind of have to ask ourselves as a society, like, okay, sure, but what are we willing to give up for this?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's always part of the conversation. It's always, oh, what's coming and what's coming. It's like, but where we're going with this, something else is going to have to give. It just can't become this and everything stay the same, So it's like, what are we willing to sacrifice here? And what's starting to get sacrificed is like what scares me about people, and where we're going.
I think humanity is getting sacrificed because
this is exactly it. Our humanity, that's exactly the perfect word for it, right? And I don't think we all necessarily can see it.
No.
Happening
Most
to us.
People
right?
don't see it because it's like anything else in life. When you're in the thick of it, you don't really notice. It isn't until you look back. And that's why when you're a kid and then you become a parent, you start to understand your parents, type of thing. And now I understand my dad in the respect of, my 40-year-old son saying shit to me. And I'm like, oh, now I get it. Now I get how I was an idiot with my dad,
right.
And they all think like you don't understand things. You haven't lived their life or whatever. And I think of this, okay, with what we're talking about. People in my grandparents' generation were like, oh, life was better when we churned our own butter, when we, did stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're insane. Why would I want to churn my own butter when I could go to the store and buy it? And now all the sickness that we have, physical and mental, from all the garbage that we consume in our body. And really, we have more stress doing it the so-called easy way with food than the old times when it was very simple times. Hey, farm your farmland, churn your butter. But there was family stuff going on. There was also the passing of generations. More and more nowadays, less kids are getting involved in a family business.
Very good. Yeah.
And less kids are having that, family mentality or care.
Totally.
We take these social media things and use them to become antisocial.
Yeah, it's amazing how the things, something is set up to be something and then it becomes the antithesis of what it was meant to be. Seems to be a common thread with us as people sometimes too.
Yeah, look at TikTok, okay? During COVID, TikTok was the fun app. Everybody was getting off of Facebook because all the bullshit and getting on TikTok because it was just fun. And now TikTok is exactly what people ran away from. Like the same negativity. And that's the thing. All this technology has created way more negativity, not way more positivity.
Yeah. And I sometimes think that that's you were talking about the food analogy about how, we have it easier, but then now with getting food, but then you've traded all this stuff. I think that's the perfect analogy for this too, right? It's like when things get easier, maybe it's easier for us in terms of our existence and stuff. But I think as things get easier, we're having a harder time, keeping our brains in a place that's reasonable. I think because things are so easy, then it's like, well, I don't have to worry about my food and I don't have to worry if I'm going to get clean water or if I have this and that. I should go bitch at somebody on the internet.
Right.
And I think that's part of it. Like we're very, we're very fortunate in in society here. We have a lot, and I think that exactly, that thing when it's this internet, so it's what we were saying about the socialness of it, right? It's making it so easy to be social via these things it's flipped into this antisocial thing without kind of right before our eyes, right?
Yeah.
And it's very fascinating how as we progress as a society and things do get easier, like you said, we find these new ways to be kind of self-destructive is what it feels like.
Totally. And that's where music, to me, is one of the most important things out there, because music is the best therapy there is. And it's the thing that binds us together, especially in the metal community. Okay. We're one big family. There are no outsiders. There's no hate. There's none of that crap. And you get to escape. That's why sometimes I just wish some of these people would just go experience a live show instead of filming the whole thing. Like, come on, man. Watch it on YouTube. You're never even going to watch it. Like, these people that film it never even watch it. Like,
right.
And so you miss the whole show, the whole experience.
For what?
There's times as media, like I have to do stuff like that. It's funny. Like I'll take a picture and then I'll pull my camera down. I'm like, man, it looks so much cooler this way without the camera.
Right. I always think that too. Anytime I take a picture of one of our shows and stuff, I'm like, the picture looks cool, but I remember the moment, and that moment was way more fun than what this picture captures. It's a nice reminder of it, but it doesn't, it's not the same as a real experience, tactile right in front of you. You're there getting blasted by the speaker and the singer's sweat hits you in the face. It's just never going to be the same thing. Right.
I even think about mosh pits. Okay. Back in the 80s, I'd go into mosh pits, didn't worry about nothing. Now, when I go into mosh pits, it's like, here, hold my phone. Here, hold this, and it's like, man, it's kind of a pain in the ass to go into mosh pit now because I got all this shit I got to worry about. Whereas back then, it was just jump in and not even think about it. And you
go
didn't
for
lose
it. Yeah.
anything. You didn't break anything. You didn't lose anything. You just had fun in the moment.
Yeah. And, one thing that's nice with a lot of the shows we've been playing, I've definitely noticed there's way more uptick I see of kids, younger people, even adults and stuff, depending on the shows. I'm noticing a lot more people getting in there and like doing the mosh thing and looking out for each other, but like having a good time. And I have kind of, it's funny. I felt the same kind of things for a long time. Like I go to these shows and no one's really that into it, or like they are, but they're not into like moving around. And yeah, over the last couple of years, like especially around like Alberta here where we're from, and like we've been into Saskatchewan a little bit in BC, noticing way more people are coming out to these shows and getting right in there. And I'm the same. I love to see it. Like that's music's expression at the end of the day, and getting out into the mosh pit and just flailing, doing what you got to do, and with all the homies who are there to do the same thing. I mean, it's one of the most raw, purest forms of expression I think you can get out there. And it's super valuable. And I think there are people who are coming around and being like, no, I do want that real experience at this show. I'm not going to sit on my phone. I'm going to be moshing. I'm going to be interacting with the band and other people. And it's nice to see that is at least starting to happen. Hopefully it'll continue.
What I think is cool, okay, so back in my gatekeeper days, okay, where it's like, you could only mosh to this, blah, 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 bullshit. Moshing is some of the best therapy, too. Like, people think you go in there to hurt and maim people. No, you don't hurt and maim people in the outside world, Like, get all your shit out in the pit, and then you don't want to kick somebody's ass in the real world.
Totally.
And so, like, I've been to, like, a Wiz Khalifa show, and there were mosh pits. And if you caught me in my early days, I'd be like, now that's stupid. And now I'm like, now that's freaking cool. And you know what? Go for it. I don't care what the genre. You want mosh?
Yeah.
Freaking mosh.
Feel the music out and express yourself. Hell yeah. That's the move.
No doubt. And that's what we need nowadays. That is our escape from all the bull crap in the world, and especially music like yours. Like, that's what I love about the psychedelic progressive part of the Psychedelic Progressive Techdeath, because the psychedelic progressive part is the one that makes your mind drift away from everything. You know,
I
that's the way I look
completely
at
agree.
it. You know, you
You
just
know,
go into this like space.
yes, for sure. And I mean that I'm glad that it comes off that way, you know, like that's definitely where my mind sort of goes to too when working, especially in that psychedelic progressive space. You know, it's trying to find something like, especially for me with doing the synth and stuff like that. I really like stuff like sound and sound textures and stuff that kind of like tickle my brain, you know? I want that little bit of like, ooh, ooh. So I'm glad that comes through, because that's definitely kind of what we're trying to go for. Something that kind of grabs you a little bit more and gives you a little bit extra to chew on, you know?
Well, it's kind of like, okay, so you take Dark Side of the Moon.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to just listen to a couple minutes of Dark Side of the Moon. They're going to listen to Dark Side of the Moon, and they're going to experience it, and they're going to go off into Never Land.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. It's
and that's what we
experiential.
need. Right, exactly. Yeah, I find that a lot with metal nowadays is there's a lot of the very specific genres that they use as formula. And this is the way it needs to be. And I'm like, no, the way it needs to be is like I remember some of my favorite metal songs were like, holy shit, where did that come from? Like all of a sudden in the middle of a song, something happens and you're like, I didn't expect that at all. Or like
Yeah.
you go back to a lot of early metal where the intros would fool you, like Fast as a Shark and Battery, and like
Totally.
you're like, what the fuck is this? And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, you know, and it catches you by surprise. I don't think we have that much anymore. Like people are in this track mentality. They don't give that 10 seconds to get into that.
I could not agree more. And you know, for us, that's a really big thing too. Like working in that space that we do of sort of, you know, the technical death metal. There's a lot of exactly what you were just talking about out there in that space. There are a lot of talented people and like everything, and totally, but there's a lot of like, I feel like the tech death and deathcore space right now are kind of like, this is what they are, and I need to now do this.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, what the hell is happening here? Can we do something unique? And so we've kind of, part in making that, you know, fake genre was part of being like, what are the things that influence us and what can we draw from? And then how can we take anything outside of that and make it feel more metal?
Right. Now, even take tech as a word in and of itself. To me, it has two meanings. One meaning is you're a really good freaking musician. Like you're technically a great musician. It also tells me you're taking yourself way too seriously because some of the best bands in the world screwed up.
True.
You know,
I completely agree with that too. You cannot live in that space of like everything is, I'm creating this art and it's like, yeah, you are, and it's art and that's great and rare, but we also are doing music, and music's about good times and expression and feeling it, you know. We don't have to get into this uptighty space about it.
Well, think about too some of the most not talented, but most well-known musicians and well-known bands were not the most talented necessarily.
Exactly.
You know? I mean, especially technically. I mean, one of my favorite bands, their drummer gets a lot of shit from every other musician on the face of the earth. He's like the worst drummer ever, but they're still the biggest band in the world. Like, come on. That's gotta tell you something. Or look at Ozzy.
Yeah.
Like Ozzy was all heart, you know? That's what made the difference.
And you just hit it right on the head for me, because this is something we talk about as a band too, and I think why we have been able to make some more kind of unique sounding stuff. And we're like, I always try and push the guys and myself to just be like, be unapologetically authentic to who you are, because you said it right, like you can get these musicians who maybe they're not on paper the greatest musician you've ever heard, but their authentic them comes through their instrument or their voice or whatever it is, and people go instantly, I am on board with this. It could be the most, on paper worst singer, let's say, ever, but if they hit that soulful, authentic, and they bring it out in a way that makes people feel that's it, And for us, like being in a, technical death metal band, that's kind of the balance we're trying to go for. It's like, we do want to write stuff that has musicality to it and be able to use that knowledge, but we also want it to feel like it's something that comes from us and wasn't just a like, oh, I could switch this scale from Mixolydian to blah, 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 blah. Ooh, and people will be like, yay. Like sometimes you hope like music nerd people pick up that kind of stuff, right? Of course, but at the end of the day, it's like, I just want something that feels authentically like us and represents who we are to come out of us. Because then the people who are going to resonate with it are the people you want to resonate with it.
Because you're not going to please everybody in anything you do. So the first person you need to please is yourself, and then your tribe will follow.
That is exactly, yes, 100%. I am a very firm believer of that. And, circling back to what we were saying about, things nowadays to the easy way, I also kind of feel like, we could just shift into like a deathcore tech death band, and maybe it would be easier for more people to listen to us, maybe easier to play more shows, go on the road, but would we feel really good about it? Not really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look at musicians in time that really, they weren't really happy with it, and I think that's the saddest thing, because if you're not having fun being a musician, you're in the wrong industry, because there ain't nothing else fun about it than that part,
Exactly. We're blessed in this industry that we get to do something that has that air of fun and joy in it too, right? And we can't lose that, because we're so lucky to have that as musicians and people in the music industry. Like, not a lot of people get that with what they're doing, And I think it's really important to stop and just be like, man, this is so cool. I'm so lucky to be doing this. It's amazing that people like this song or came to this show, and you got to take those moments to stop and be like, wow, this is fun. And that's a good thing.
Well, even like when Rush changed course, a lot of people gave them crap, but at the end of the day, in every interview I've ever seen or anything where they're talking about, they just did what they wanted to do.
Exactly.
And to me, I have the most respect for that. Totally. Because why not? If you don't do what you want to do, don't be a musician. That's what it's about. I remember I was playing guitar. I tell this story because it's funny. I was playing guitar as a teenager, and my dad's like, you should give that up. You suck. But he didn't know what I was doing. I was bored to death with the scales bullshit. So I just wanted to find out what sounds I could make out of the guitar. Like, I wasn't trying to play something. I was trying to experiment to see what I could make happen. And that's how you become iconic. Like, you take somebody like Tony Iommi, he created a whole genre by experimenting over something bad that happened to him and switching gears.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. I think the experimentation thing is so important too. Not being afraid to just kind of try something out and throw some ideas at the wall. And some of them, some of them aren't going to stick, but it's just the trying to throw them out there. Again, the playing it safe is the easy way.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's more it pays off better to take a challenge, I think.
And I think too, the whole psychedelic progressive part there is all experimentation. I view both those genres as experimentation. Like, because you're just sitting there, like, you're just creating this musical journey, and a lot of times you don't even know where it's taking you as the musician in the song, opposed to,
Oh,
okay, I gotta do this at this time and this at this time and this
yeah.
at this time.
And it's so much more rewarding and exciting as a musician, I feel, too, to be able to do that. And like you said, even when you're on like that journey that you don't even totally know, like that's a very common thing when I sit down to like write a lot of our synth and stuff. You know, sometimes maybe I have an idea of something, but I always try to do that. I try to sit down and experiment and just see what kind of comes out, because you might all of a sudden hit something. You're like, wow, I never thought I should. I mean, there's going to be a song on our EP on Primitive Minds that has this breakdown part with this, one of my favorite synth parts on it. And it was a total same exact thing. I'm sitting there kind of experimenting. I had these ideas and I'm like, this is not kind of clicking where I want, you know? And I just sort of sat back, and then this idea sort of hit me. I don't want to give away too much because the song's going to come out, so people get to hear this. But this sort of idea hit me, and I went, that would be really weird if I could make this work. So I, you know, same thing, experiment around with it a little bit. And I remember sending it to the guys so nervously, right? I'm like, okay, here's a bit of a swing. Tell me what you guys think, honestly, right? And our guitar player, Scotty, all he messaged back was, oh my God, I got chills. And
Nice.
That right there just went, okay, yes, I have to lean into doing the stuff that's more out there and letting it happen, because that's where the money parts are going to come from, right? Just that letting something inside of you come out that you don't necessarily know is there. And then all of a sudden go, whoa, that's it. It's beautiful. That's one of my favorite parts about writing. So
that's where I think Sid Barrett was a genius,
oh,
because he just was like putting shit into songs that
yeah,
nobody would put into songs. And it was like,
and they just work
whoa.
and just work so nicely. You know, that's
Right?
always so amazing to me.
Totally. So tell everybody how they can connect to you guys on socials and how they can get the new EPs when they drop, and check out this new song that you didn't give them the intel on.
Absolutely. So the new song is entitled Heliconian OPTIVISOR. It is going to be from our Primitive Minds EP, which you can expect this fall. We'll have a date announcement coming soon. So if you'd like to follow us, you know, we're on the usual suspects. You can get us on Instagram at the Judge the Juror Official, Facebook at the Judge the Juror, YouTube.com/at the Judge the Juror Official. We also have a website, which is just thejudgethejuror.com. It'll direct you to all our stuff there. Any other ones I'm missing? Oh, Bandcamp. You can find us on there if you'd like to purchase the new track. It's on there on Bandcamp. What is it? thejudgethejuror.bandcamp.com, I believe. And
how about
that.
MySpace? How about MySpace?
You know what? We should probably get back on MySpace. Someone once told me actually that someone told me one time that the type of metal we do sounds like the MySpace era of metal. And I remember looking at them and being like, that makes sense, because I basically grew up listening to metal on MySpace. So yeah.
There you go. There you go. How funny would it be if like music, like bands start bringing back MySpace?
We should do it. I think you're onto something here. I'm going to maybe go do some research on it tonight. Maybe it's for sale. I see if I can make them a sweet deal or something.
I know, right? That would be so cool. But what's even cooler is your music. So everybody's got to check you out.
Thank you.
And it's definitely badass. And if you need to escape the world, this is the music to do it with.
That's what we're hoping to provide people with. A little reflection and a little escape all in one, and some joy. So thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who goes and listens to it and has so far. We've been getting a lot of really good response. So thank you all so much.
Well, thank you for giving us great music, and thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipeman.
Oh, I'm more than happy to be here, Pipeman. Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure meeting you, and thanks for taking the time yourself. So hopefully we'll get to do it again.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Likewise, my friend. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.